Mike Cannon was elected City Councilor for District 4, which includes Precincts 6 and 9. He most recently served on the Finance Committee and was a town meeting member prior to that, also serving on the Capital Budget Committee. He's lived in Framingham for the last 10 years. What do you do for a living? How do you decide to run for City Council? How does it fit into your life? Like, how did you bring all that together and decide that you wanted to step up and serve as a City Councilor for Framingham?
Well, and thank you for the invitation. It's good to be with you, Audrey. You know, it was an interesting story. You know, I am a business owner, and I work with businesses every day. That's the part of the that impacts my business. And in talking to businesses in Framingham, just as I've been involved on the Finance Committee or in Capital Budget and other things around town, I saw that there were ways that we could make it easier for small businesses in particular to grow and thrive in Framingham. And as I got more involved, moving from town meeting to the Capital Budget Committee to Finance and doing other things, I saw some opportunities where we've grown as a community in our complexity, and I just didn't think we were keeping up with the needs of our residents, with the needs of our business constituency. And I thought as we were changing our form of government, there were ways for me to step up and help our community move forward.
So if there are things that you want to accomplish, things you want to change for business owners, how do you think you'll be able to do that? And what in particular are you hoping to really target immediately?
Well, we talk about the downtown revitalization, and so much of that will revolve around small business. You know, in Framingham, we are blessed to have so many large corporate entities that are of great importance to us, but in the course of nurturing those relationships, we've almost neglected small business. And those are the restaurants, the independent retailers, the small businesses that create jobs in our local economy, that create tax revenue in our local economy, and that create vibrant neighborhoods for us to enjoy. So as we move forward, I think we need to pay critical attention to how we make it easier for people to thrive in our community, not just our citizens, but our small businesses as well. We have a way of treating the small mom and pop restaurant the same way we treat a multinational retailer. And it's no one's fault. It's just, it's time that, you know, as we move forward, we start asking questions like, okay, this is how we've done it for so long. Is this the best way to do things going forward?
Why do you think we treat small businesses the same way we treat major corporations? And what is it that you'd like to see change?
There are a lot of questions like that where I don't know what the answer is, because I think that the honest answer is it's the way we've always done it. You know, we haven't spent a lot of time nurturing and listening to our small business partners in town. You know, when someone wants to take their existing successful business and the spot next door becomes available, it should be a lot easier than to engage a traffic study for this small business. I mean, it can cost tens of thousands of dollars beyond what it costs to expand their own business, just in terms of working with the community of Framingham as a municipality. So we have to start listening to our small business partners. We have to start asking ourselves, is this the best way to do it for ourselves and for our community going forward? And we have to start talking to our neighbors. You know, when you talk to business owners, they often don't just do business in Framingham. They have experience with myriad other communities. Who's doing it well? Let's see what they're doing. So we're covering ourselves with the regulatory oversight that we need, but making it as easy as possible for our business and our taxpayers to thrive.
So you'll be one of 11 on the council. And this is something that sounds like it's, you know, a goal of yours, something that you want to address. How do you get your fellow councilors to zero in on that and make that a priority as well, and in conjunction with the mayor? What do you think it's going to take to say, okay, this is Mike Cannon's, you know, area of focus? How do I make it everyone else's?
It's not Mike Cannon's area of focus. I mean, there are a number of competing priorities that are mission critical to the success of Framingham and our community at large. So it's not about me. It's you know, without the tax revenue that comes from successful businesses, we're going to continue to find ourselves in an unsustainable path that we're on in terms of our spending.
Right.
But I'm comforted to know that in all of the conversations that have happened, or so many of them anyway, people have focused on, you know, how do we make it easier for our commercial tax base, which is the less attractive way of saying, you know, that's the result of making it easier for small business to thrive in Framingham, because we need that tax revenue to support our schools and provide strong public services. And I'm comforted that the mayor and her campaign had talked about that and making sure that small business has a voice in the community. I think the community will be holding us all accountable for that, because as we make it easier for our residents to focus on what's important to them, our businesses to thrive, our commercial tax base to increase, the things that we need to do behind the scenes become easier as well.
What do you think about the budget and taxes and how the council will, work with the mayor on the budget? Any thoughts about that? Any idea about how that's going to proceed, or are you just going to waiting so now to see how this all comes together?
Well, I think we only have like 12 minutes here, so we could spend a lot of time talking about how that's going to unfold. But I think from day one, and so many people have been involved for a number of years, we need to look at everything line by line. The good news is, as we start from scratch, which is really what we need to do, we can really reevaluate every department, every line, and make sure that every dollar that we spend, because they're not our dollars, they're the dollars that people work so hard to earn.
Sure.
And if we can ask more challenging questions about how we're spending our dollars, we can make it easier for our residents and our taxpayers to keep a little bit more of what they earn, continue to rely on our strong and thriving schools, continue to rely on our strong public services.
Yeah.
And have a really successful first handful of years of this new structure of government in Framingham.
And do you feel that Framingham's going to look different 3 years from now because of the change in government? And if so, how do you think that different look will be?
It depends on what you mean by that. Hopefully, if we do our job right, people won't notice a whole lot. Our trash will be picked up when, reliably as it is now. Our snow will be plowed as reliably as it is now. Our schools will continue to thrive. We'll move in positive directions, but and hopefully people, when they open those envelopes with their tax bills and their water bills, maybe they'll notice that, the number that they're seeing is not as traumatic as it's been in years past.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you want people to know about you, having just recently been elected and stepping up to serve on the city council?
That I'm accessible. It's not about me, it's about our community. My cell phone number stays the same, my email address stays the same, all that contact information that's been available to my neighbors for so long, and the years that I've been involved in the community, I'll continue to be accessible. My job is really, to make it as easy as possible in the way that I can for our businesses and our residents and our neighbors to focus on what's important to them. So, you and I are in town hall a lot, all the time. We have relationships with people. We know who to talk to when we need to get something done. We need to be more customer focused as a municipality, I think. If you're not kind of an insider, it's hard to know where to go if you need to build a shed on your property, or if there's an intersection where you really think a crosswalk should be placed. If we're making it as easy as possible for people to do business with the municipality, then they can spend more time focusing on what's important to them.
Okay. Anything in particular you just want to say about Framingham, how you feel about Framingham as a community, and what you'd like other people to think of when they think of Framingham?
I love bringing people through our community that don't know Framingham. Before I bought my house in Framingham, I was living in Connecticut, and goes back more than a decade, and all I knew was Shoppers World. And it took me some time. I was running the Northeast for a publicly traded financial company before I got to see Callahan State Park and Cushing Park and all of the wonderful things that we know so well. So I love taking people that don't know Framingham, and some of these people live in Framingham, and they're just not out of their neighborhood. And I'm really looking forward to being a part of that.
Okay, well, that's great. Thank you so much for being here. That's
Thank you.
Mike Cannon, City Councilor for District 4.